The Russian military command and dictator Vladimir Putin prematurely announced the expulsion of Ukrainian forces from the Kursk region. Fighting there continues to this day. This was reported by the Russian Z Resource Northern Channel associated with the Russian armed forces. In fact, Z Channel accused Putin and the Russian Defense Ministry of lying about the Kursk region. On the ground, the situation looks different. Fighting in the Guevo, Gornali and Oleshnya areas continues. The enemy is resisting and it is too early to talk about full control. Severny Kanal reported. He specified that the Russian armed forces are also having problems in the Belgorod region. Fighting is also continuing in the border area there. The enemy continues to pull reserves to the border, obviously preparing for new attacks, added Z Channel. Putin announced the complete liberation of the Kursk region on April the 26th. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine immediately refuted this statement, calling the Russian dictator's words a propaganda trick and an attempt to pass off wishful thinking as reality. OSINT Project Deep State also notes the presence of Ukrainian forces in the border area of Kursk Oblast on the morning of April the 27th. According to its data, the Ukrainian armed forces control about 20 square kilometers of Russian territory, and approximately the same size territories are a grey combat zone. The defense forces continue to hold a number of territories in the Kursk region. Lieutenant General, former Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Igor Romanenko, spoke about this on the air of Radio NV. This refers to the monastery in the Kursk region and a couple of settlements, and also after the raid in the Belgorod region, Demidovka and around it. For the Russians, this is a propaganda issue that they have already liberated all of Russia's territories. This is fundamental for them, but they cannot achieve this. It is clear that they have forced out the main territory that they controlled, but it is certain that this is not happening completely, Romanenko said. He added that Russian propagandists are using the same approaches as in relation to the Luhansk region. They have been showing for years that they have captured the administrative borders, but 3 to 5% is under the control of the Ukrainian defense forces. Fake approaches are nothing new. The only thing is that the situation has become more acute now. After all, they are moving to bargaining over territories, Romanenko added.
Iranian MP Mohammad Sarraj blames Israel for port explosion. The explosion at the port of Bandar Abbas was not a random event. The explosions occurred simultaneously in 4 different locations, indicating that explosives were planted inside the containers. The chemicals usually ignite at one point and do not cause multiple explosions in different places at the same time. The containers were treated in their country of origin, either during transport or by local agents in Iran. The explosions were apparently controlled by satellite or timers and were timed to coincide with when the containers would arrive at the port and cause the most damage. The death toll from a powerful explosion at Iran's biggest port of Bandar Abbas has risen to at least 40, with more than 1,200 people injured, state media reported, as firefighters worked to fully extinguish the fire. The explosion affected offices belonging to the port, and its intensity was sufficient to cause tremors felt in nearby cities, according to domestic reports. The blast also shattered the glass of buildings several kilometers away from the site of the incident. Iranian state media also reported that there had been a building collapse caused by the explosion, though no further details were offered. The blast took place in the Shahid Raji section of the port, Iran's biggest container hub, shattering windows for several kilometers around, tearing metal strips off shipping containers and badly damaging goods inside, state media said. The incident occurred as Iran held a third round of nuclear talks with the United States in Oman. Chemicals at the port were suspected to have fueled the explosion, but the exact cause was not clear, and Iran's defense ministry denied international media reports that the blast may be linked to the mishandling of solid fuel used for missiles. A spokesperson for the ministry told state TV the reports were aligned with enemy psyops, saying that the blast-hit area did not contain any military cargo. Israeli jet struck Beirut's southern suburbs Sunday after issuing a warning about an hour earlier, marking the third Israeli strike on the area since a ceasefire took effect in late November. According to Associated Press, a huge plume of smoke billowed over the area after the strike. There were no immediate reports of casualties. In the warning, the Israeli military said that it was targeting Hezbollah facilities in the Hadath area and urged residents to move at least 300 meters from the site before the strike. 2 warning strikes followed. Fighter jets were heard over parts of the Lebanese capital before the strike near the Al-Jamis neighborhood, where gunfire was shot into the air to warn residents and urge them to evacuate, as families fled in panic. During the last Israel-Hezbollah war, Israeli drones and fighter jets regularly pounded the southern suburbs, where Hezbollah has wide influence and support. Israel views the area, where it has assassinated several of Hezbollah's top leaders, including Chief Hassan Nasrallah, as a militant stronghold and accuses the group of storing weapons there. Sunday's strike follows 2 earlier attacks on the capital's southern suburbs, the first taking place on March 28, when Israel also issued a warning, and the second on April 1, when an unannounced strike killed 4 people, including a Hezbollah official. The leader of Lebanon's Hezbollah group, Sheikh Naim Qassem, has recently warned that if Israel's attacks on Lebanon continued and if Lebanon's government doesn't act to stop them, the group would eventually resort to other alternatives. Qassem also said that Hezbollah's fighters won't disarm as long as Israeli troops remain in southern Lebanon and the Israeli Air Force regularly violates Lebanese airspace. Under the US-brokered ceasefire that ended the 14-month Israel-Hezbollah war, Israeli forces were supposed to withdraw from all Lebanese territory by late January, while Hezbollah had to end its armed presence south of the Litani River along the border with Israel. Earlier on Sunday, a drone strike killed a man in the southern Lebanese village of Halta, according to the health ministry. In a post on X that included footage of the strike, the Israeli military said that it had targeted a Hezbollah member, where he was working to rebuild Hezbollah's terrorist capabilities in the area. Israel's near-daily airstrikes have killed scores of people, including civilians and Hezbollah members, in southern and eastern Lebanon since the US-brokered ceasefire went into effect, saying it targets Hezbollah officials and infrastructure. Israel says it's targeting Hezbollah holdouts in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese military has gradually deployed in the country's southern region, and Beirut has urged the international community to pressure Israel to stop attacks and withdraw its forces still present on 5 hilltops in Lebanese territory.